You think the money in your bank app is yours, but in reality it is just a digital permission slip that can be revoked in a single heartbeat by a centralized authority. For centuries, cash was the ultimate tool of privacy and freedom because nobody could track where you spent your hard-earned dollars or why. But in 2026, the financial architects are closing the gates of the physical world and pushing the masses into a digital prison called CBDCs, or central bank digital currencies. They tell you it is for your convenience and for your security, but the truth is far more sinister because programmable money is the ultimate leash for a population that is starting to wake up. Welcome to the death of cash trap, where your ability to buy food or pay rent is now tied to your compliance with a system that has zero loyalty to your sovereignty. The math of programmable money is fundamentally broken because it allows the elite to put an expiry date on your savings, ensuring that you spend your wealth according to their economic timeline rather than your own needs. If the government decides the economy is slow, they can simply program your digital dollars to lose value if you do not spend them by the end of the month, effectively killing the very concept of saving. You are no longer an owner of your capital. You are a temporary user of a state-controlled asset that can be restricted based on your social credit score or your political views. While you were focused on reward points and digital convenience, they were busy building the infrastructure for total financial surveillance, where every coffee you buy and every mile you drive is recorded in a permanent ledger. Think about the psychological heist of the cashless society, because this is where they remove the physical sensation of loss to make you spend more and think less. When you hand over a crisp $100 bill, you feel the weight of your labor leaving your hand. But when you tap a screen, it feels like a game with no consequences. This is by design, because a population that doesn't feel the pain of spending is a population that is easy to keep in a state of perpetual debt. The elite are hoarding physical gold and hard assets in private vaults, while they tell you that physical currency is outdated and dangerous. It is time to stop believing the headlines of the technocrats and start understanding that true freedom is silent and untrackable. Wake up. The true power of a central bank digital currency lies in the word programmable, because it allows the state to decide not just how much money you have, but exactly what you are allowed to buy with it. In 2026, the illusion of consumer choice is being dismantled as the technocrats prepare to link your digital wallet to your carbon footprint and your health records. If the system decides you have purchased too much fuel this month or that your diet does not align with their environmental goals, your digital dollars will simply refuse to work at the point of sale. You are essentially being placed on a digital allowance where your survival is contingent on your obedience to a centralized algorithm that views your individual freedom as a systemic risk. The math is broken because the currency is no longer a neutral medium of exchange. It has become a weapon of behavioral modification designed to engineer a perfectly compliant society. Think about the total loss of financial privacy in a world without physical cash, where every single transaction you make is recorded in a permanent government ledger. Whether you are buying a book that questions the status quo or giving a few dollars to a family member in need, the architects of the Matrix will have a front row seat to your personal life. This is the end of the off-the-grid economy and the beginning of total economic transparency for the citizen, while the elite continue to hide their own wealth in complex offshore structures that remain invisible to the public. They want a world where your every move is a data point for their social credit system, ensuring that any sign of dissent results in an immediate restriction of your purchasing power. You are being pushed into a digital panopticon where the walls are made of code and the guards are the central bankers. The integration of social credit scores with digital currency is the final stage of the digital prison, where your access to the economy is tied to your public behavior and your online speech. If your score drops below a certain threshold, you might find that you can no longer book a flight or rent an apartment or even access high-speed internet. The system doesn't need to put you in a physical cell when they can simply delete your ability to participate in modern society with a single keystroke. In 2026, the digital dollar is being designed to reward the obedient and punish the independent, creating a society of high-earning sycophants who are too afraid of a wallet freeze to ever speak the truth. Sovereignty begins with the ability to trade without permission, but the Matrix is working day and night to ensure that permission is the only thing you have left. Geofencing is the hidden mechanism of the digital prison where the system can restrict your spending to a specific geographic area like a 15-minute city or a Maxus neighborhood. If the authorities decide there is a crisis or a climate emergency, they can program your money to only function within a 3-mile radius of your home, effectively turning your digital wallet into an electronic ankle monitor. You think you have the freedom of movement, but that freedom is a lie if you cannot pay for transportation or shelter once you cross an invisible digital boundary. The elite understand that a mobile population is difficult to control, which is why they are replacing physical mobility with digital permissions that can be revoked at any moment. It is time to stop viewing your bank app as a tool of convenience and start seeing it as the primary infrastructure of your own confinement. The psychological decoupling of money from reality is the most sinister part of the cashless heist because it removes the physical sensation of labor and value from the human experience. When you only see numbers on a screen and pay with a wave of your hand, your brain loses its natural defense mechanism against overspending and emotional consumption. The system wants you in a state of tap-and-go hypnosis where you never stop to calculate the real cost of your life in terms of the hours you spent earning those digital credits. They have successfully gamified your survival, making it easier than ever to drain your future wealth to fund their present-day profits. By the time you wake up from the digital dream, you will realize that you have traded your absolute sovereignty for a handful of dopamine hits and a library of subscriptions you do not own. Fractional reserve banking was the old magic trick, but the digital dollar is the ultimate illusion where money is created and destroyed instantly to manage the masses. The central banks no longer need to print paper. They can simply adjust the digital supply to create artificial booms and busts that wipe out the savings of the middle class while allowing the elite to acquire the world's remaining hard assets. You are holding the bag of a dying fiat system while the architects are busy building a new digital matrix where they own the server, the code, and your access to reality. In 2026, the digital safe is a mathematical oxymoron because there is zero safety in a system where the rules can be changed in the middle of the night without your knowledge or consent. The transition to a cashless society is being sold as a solution to crime and tax evasion, but the real target is the independence of the individual and the small business owner. Cash allowed the local economy to thrive without the oversight of global conglomerates and government auditors, but the digital prison ensures that every dollar spent is a dollar taxed and a dollar tracked. Small businesses are being forced onto platforms where they must pay a recurring percentage of their labor to the technocrats just for the privilege of accepting payment. You are witnessing the industrialization of the marketplace where the small and the independent are being phased out in favor of a managed corporate environment where everything is a service and no one is an owner. We must deconstruct the lie that digital money is safe because in a world of cyber warfare and systemic resets, a digital balance is the most fragile asset you can possess. If the power grid goes down or the banking servers face a coordinated attack, your million-dollar net worth becomes a collection of invisible dust that cannot buy you a single loaf of bread. The elite are busy acquiring physical gold, fertile land, and private energy sources because they understand that when the digital matrix fails, only the physical world will remain. They are leading you into a digital cloud while they stay anchored in the physical earth, ensuring that they remain the lords of the new era while you remain a digital serf. Sovereignty begins with the ownership of things that do not require a battery or an internet connection to have value. The bail-in era is coming to the digital dollar where the government can directly haircut your savings to pay off the national debt or fund their own bureaucratic expansion. In a digital prison, there is no way to withdraw your capital and hide it under a mattress because the mattress itself has been made illegal. You are a captive lender to a state that is $34 trillion in debt and has no intention of ever paying you back in a currency that has real value. The math is broken because the system has reached its mathematical limit, and the digital prison is the only way for the architects to maintain control as the old world crumbles. It is time to wake up and see the CBDC for what it really is, a final desperate attempt to lock the doors of the cage before the masses realize they are being fleeced. The psychological toll of living under total financial surveillance is a silent epidemic that leads to a loss of creativity and a rise in self-censorship. When you know that every purchase is being judged by an algorithm, you begin to modify your behavior to fit the safe profile of a compliant citizen. You stop taking risks, you stop supporting independent voices, and you eventually stop thinking for yourself because the risk of a financial disconnect is too great to bear. The system wants you in this state of permanent anxiety because a fearful population is a population that is easy to manage and easy to distract from the truth. My name is John, and I have spent my life deconstructing these blueprints so that you can see the wires before they become a permanent part of your existence. Technological unemployment and the rise of AI mean that the state will eventually offer you a universal basic income delivered through their digital prison as a way to keep you from rebelling as your skills become obsolete. This UBI will come with strings attached, requiring you to follow the system's rules and accept their narrative in exchange for your monthly digital allowance. It is the ultimate tool of social engineering, where the government becomes your only employer and your only provider, turning you into a high-tech dependent who has zero leverage and zero voice. The window to build real tangible wealth is closing fast, and if you do not adapt by owning the means of production or physical assets today, you will be left at the mercy of an algorithm that has zero compassion for your humanity. The tax code in a digital prison will be automated and relentless, where every dollar you earn is instantly split between you and the state before you even have the chance to see it. There will be no more deductions, no more planning, and no more loopholes for the middle class, while the ultra-rich continue to operate in the shadow economy they built for themselves. You are essentially working as an unpaid tax collector for a government that views your productivity as their primary asset. The math is broken because the incentives are designed to punish the hard worker and reward the technocrat, ensuring that the path to independence is blocked by a series of digital toll booths that never close. The final reset of the global economy will be delivered through the digital dollar, where the old debts are wiped away and replaced with a new system of total control and zero privacy. The elite understand that the current debt-based model is unsustainable, which is why they are building the lifeboats of the CBDC matrix to transition their power into the next era. You are being asked to trade your last remaining bits of freedom for the promise of stability in an unstable world, but the stability they offer is the stability of a prison cell. It is time to stop believing the propaganda of the central banks and start building your own blueprint for sovereignty based on the reality of hard assets and private trade. My name is John, and I am here to tell you that the heist ends the moment you decide to wake up and stop playing their game. The digital prison only has power over you as long as you believe in the necessity of their permissions and the value of their digital paper. It is time to take back your time, your energy, and your wealth by moving your capital into the physical world and reclaiming your right to be untracked and independent. We are at the end of an old economic cycle, and the people who understand the math will be the ones who survive the transition. Subscribe to this channel and join me as we continue to deconstruct the matrix and build a life that is actually based on the truth of mathematics and the reality of freedom. The exit strategy from the digital prison requires a fundamental shift in your perspective, where you prioritize privacy and tangible value over digital convenience and social credit. It means being the person who owns their own data, their own food source, and their own energy, while everyone else is paying a monthly tax for the privilege of existing in a corporate simulation. Once you break the cycle of digital dependency, you will find that your sovereignty begins to grow in real terms for the first time in your life. The system will tell you that you are falling behind or that you are a relic of the past, but the reality is that you are buying back your life while they are selling theirs. I have dedicated my life to showing you the wires behind the curtain, and the digital dollar is one of the thickest wires in the entire structure. The financial architects want you to be a perpetual tenant in a digital cloud, because a tenant is a person who can be ruled, and a tenant is a person who can be evicted. It is time to take back your future by refusing to fund the lifestyles of the elite through your compliance and your data. Subscribe to this channel and let us finish deconstructing the lie together so that you can finally take back control of your life and your wealth. The math is broken, but your future doesn't have to be if you start playing a different game today. Let's get to work on your actual freedom. Think about the psychological heist of the cashless society, because this is where they remove the physical sensation of loss to make you spend more and think less. When you hand over a crisp $100 bill, you feel the weight of your labor leaving your hand, but when you tap a screen, it feels like a game with no consequences. This is by design, because a population that doesn't feel the pain of spending is a population that is easy to keep in a state of perpetual debt. The elite are hoarding physical gold and hard assets in private vaults, while they tell you that physical currency is outdated and dangerous. It is time to stop believing the headlines of the technocrats and start understanding that true freedom is silent and untrackable. Wake up.